Is it recording? Yeah, that's cool. It's been some time I've been not posting much. It's mainly because I have been thinking what's the right way for me to move forward, as in like what I want to experiment with. I was writing about guilt in one of my contemplations that you guys cannot see. I choose this black and white because I don't want you guys to see my face entirely. Contemplatio one is about guilt. So I was writing about guilt a bit because I thought that would be great food for thought for myself. For me, according to me, there is aggressive guilt and there is passive guilt. While going through crime and punishment, I came across the fact of guilt that it is self inflicted, be it action done or not done. It cannot change the fact that the killer Raskolnikov himself thinks to be himself as the guilty. In Crime and Punishment, chunky book. I like a lot. Again, I'll be honest. I have just read up until 276, 79. Sorry, my bad. But more than that, I have not read much. So, very honestly, I am not the right person to talk about Crime and Punishment entirely of it. But the lesson that it bestows upon people when they go through that is about guilt. So, I'm going to talk about guilt and death. Personally, I have lost many people that I love very dearly. I hold them very dearly to me, and they're not with me anymore. That thing changes you to a certain extent that you believe that either it does not affect you anymore or it affects you in certain level that you cannot feel it. Like I'm an Indian, right? So for us, death grieves through process. We don't bury, we burn, and when a body burns, that body used to interact with you a couple of days back, couple of months back. It's a relief that they have been released from the pain, but it's a relief. It's a misery to you, and a relief to you at the same time. It's a misery to you because the person you loved so much dearly, or even the person you mildly love, is just no more in your life. So that's an intricate point. If your life is changed your life entirely, and the good part is they're relieved from pain. So which part would you think about more? Is the part that they're no more, or is the part that they're there but in spirits they're there, in your heart they're there, right? So that type of thought has been grueling my mind for a couple of days because I very recently lost my uncle. From there, I've been coping up. For the last 3 years, I've lost three of the people that have been very pillar to me of who I am right now, of my reading obsession, of the person I'm becoming and the person I'm trying to become. So it's been hard for me to come up and take the step and make a video about it. That generates guilt. Extreme loss of personal in your life would always give birth to guilt. You did not kill the person, right? Of course, I did not kill my uncle, for fuck's sake. But that gives birth to guilt. That guilt can be aggressive or passive guilt, to be very honest and precise with you. I believe passive guilt kills more than the aggressive guilt kills somebody. So in regressive or aggressive guilt, according to me, again, these are my hypotheses, these are my contemplations. I believe you are free to go down in the comment section and write whatever the hell you want to write about this particular part, but listen to it very carefully. I believe passive guilt, when you see something getting affected but you don't have the power to affect it in a positive way, it affects you. It is a second-handed smoke. It's like a second-handed guilt that you have channelized yourself. You're not the person who is in act or did it in charge of making sure that incident does not happen, but it affects your life, your day-to-day life. And now you're in this fucking limbo where you cannot do anything about it but perceive it. It's again, then it goes to Dostoevsky or Crime and Punishment that teaches you to live through pain and get out of it as an individual. Now, while you're living through pain, there are certain aspects which we normal people do not comprehend ourselves with. That is passive guilt that piles up in our heart, that gets exploited by people who know us, or that explodes when we try to confess to our loved ones that this loss really fucking affects me. Or you're gonna just shut off yourself from the entire world and be on in your own zone, in your own head. That's what passive guilt does to you. You had no direct influence to the act, but now you are suffering the causality of the act. So best of luck, I guess. And I am a passive guilt survivor. I go, not a survivor, I would say I vigorously go through the cycle of getting into passive guilt. Several things that I do not have direct control over, I think about it a lot, and that gives me the guilt, gives me the moral complex in the first hand that I could have changed it if I was in charge. But then I believe that I do not have authority on everybody's life, so I cannot change in everybody's life, right? So I don't need the passive guilt in my life, but it is just a juncture in your life. And while going through it, when I was contemplating it in this notebook, I came up to this very very sweet gesture, or sweet conclusion, or anticlimactic climax that one might come up with is, when action is caused, it will grow in you. The casualty or the causality of the action is an unneeded birth of guilt. Certain actions taken by you or not taken by you, be it your direct implication or not, would cease to give you the temptation to feel the lack of control. Thereby, the guilt gets a small birth in your heart. It's not poetry, it's just my contemplation, and it could be bad. Just do not judge me on the basis of my contemplations, guys. Just chill the fuck out. I'm just trying to figure out this entire thing, right? So, I'm just journaling about my life, right? And it feels like there's a temptation for us to feel guilt. Not through death, just because I had my family go through a crisis of losing somebody very dear to us because we live in a joint family. It's not very specific to us. I believe human species in general terms, we all like to go through guilt. Say for example, in Crime and Punishment, right? If you have read Crime and Punishment, you have an idea. Raskolnikov committed the murder. He's not a murderer in his mind. He has a justified cause of why he committed the murder. Spoiler alert, guys. He has a justified means in his head that why did he committed the murder. But at the same time, that act, when he took the life of somebody who was not supposed to die, because the landlady, the pawner, but the woman who operates the pawn, not the porn, oh, sorry, pawn trade, yeah, that's the better word. Yeah, so the woman who operates the pawn trade and gets killed, it's okay, justified. She is a bitch. She's a greedy woman who scams people, according to Raskolnikov. Of course, I'm not supporting killing anybody just because their ideology does not align with your ideology of the world. People have different ideologies. Grow the fuck up. But Raskolnikov kills that woman and the sister of that woman who was by chance present at that particular instance. So innocent life, what they can do, but according to Raskolnikov, one innocent life was taken, and that guilt eats him up. It's his action which gave birth to this causality of guilt, but he justifies that it's the ends mean that he has reached. Sometimes he's guilty, sometimes he's going to the concept of a man who is void of the morality of this world and can do no harm in causing harm, because it's sort of an ubermensch, but not in true sense. Like Raskolnikov is discussing in one of the chapters in the paper, in his own research paper, he wrote that there's this particular man that can exist in the leeways of the society who can commit a crime for the sake of the justice. This is above the moral code of the crime, because crime is caused when the social structure deforms. Say for example, Punisher by Marvel is the exact interpretation of how system falls and collapses. Daredevil is an interpretation of how system collapses, but people strive to be justful through the system. So you get in the modern pop culture also, we have certain references through Punisher and Daredevil. These heroes are the interpretation of system collapsing. So to that ubermensch level of thought, somewhere down the line, Raskolnikov, or the protagonist of Crime and Punishment had. So I'm not talking about Crime and Punishment, I'm just taking inspiration from there because I'm reading it, so it is inspiring some of my thoughts in general sense. I believe one wishes to have a constant dosage of guilt. Maybe one be obsessed or one in need of slight desertion from reality. When we are in guilt, when we suffer through guilt, we have this, again, my contemplation, you can agree or disagree, we have this ideological shift from reality. We start seeing reality in the shade of black and grey. We start realizing that it's not that honky donkey, it's not that beautifully colored, because life is a shade of grey and black. It's that all life is. You put filters according to the situation, so it's each and every situation is as good as and as bad as you want it to be. It's your perspective that you put there, your lens you put. You can commit a crime and still be the happiest, joyous person in life, right? So again, I don't condone committing crimes, but this is the philosophical aspect of dealing with the spectrum of life through each lens. Now the lens we are using in this discussion is guilt. So that's my belief, that one wishes to be in that directly or indirectly. Some people like guilt because it gives them an instantaneous ideology of what is right and what is wrong of their doing. So it's like an autocorrector in their own head. Some people like guilt as a micro dosage of desertion from the reality. They'll do indirect not harm to people, but indirect influences of stuff like a death in your family. You could not have stopped it. You're not the fucking doctor. You're not even the fucking son of that particular uncle. That particular son or the daughter has taken a particular decision which may or may not have caused the death of that particular person. I'm not giving blame to anybody, but you as a person who's not directly linked to them had not much control in their livelihood. Again, it's pre-decided by destiny. That's pre-decided by destiny, right? You can go and on and on and on about this particular juncture of life, but you can't stop and point it out. But some people condone certain actions and then they get guilt and then they have the autocorrector on. Some people knows the presence of guilt and how to use that guilt as an rectifier or a daily dosage of desertion from reality. That's my belief. Of course, you can beg to disagree. Generally, it's a natural device to clean one's soul from our consciousness, but death can cause the guilt, which ain't one's own doing, but always feel that somehow or the other that has affected them and altered their perspective reality for that particular period of time or the particular sense of the individual. So death will give birth to a cruel guilt. Directly, indirectly, I could have done this and this and this to save the person. I could have been more close to the person. I could have interacted more. But in our day-to-day lives, we're so fucking busy that we do not have that option to interact more with people. So that thou shall never be sad about the fact that you have spent little less time with the person who's dead now. So death will cause direct, indirect guilt, and that will change the perspective of the person, that thereby making them a hard, cold person who never cries, or a crybaby which will cry in seconds. So perception changes, people change over death, and I believe guilt is always there in our heart for certain thing or the other. You cannot be guilt free. You will do certain things in day-to-day life that would cause microdosage of guilt. It just gets overwhelmed when the death is the causality of the guilt. So they're interrelated amongst themselves. If guilt is a need, then the pain, be that less or more, will exist for one has nothing but to go through it all. You have to go through it. You have to go through it. Be it more, be it less, be it the causality of the death, or losing friends and people in your life, or not being spiritually enlightened, or having a constant yearning of emptiness. You have to go through it. You just have to go through it. You do not have median to run away from guilt. One cannot run away from guilt. One can run away from responsibilities, from allegations, from hoaxes, rumors, but one can never run away from the guilt. Be it your cause or the situations stamping upon you. Guilt will redirect your emotions in such a way that you can not run away from it, but through it you can face and become a better version of yourself. One may distract or even restart but never escape guilt. In some format it will chase you down, but if you decide to stand and fight through it all again, it shall come. So this is the way I have ended my contemplation. So the gist of it is that if you are going through guilt, and if it is caused by death, you just have to go through it all, because you just have to accept the fact that your parents or your loved ones are not alive. If your friends have left you, girlfriends have left you, that causality of guilt, that I may have said something, done something, could have, should have, all of these can cause a lot of amount of guilt, right? But the acceptance of the environment that you did not directly cause it, or even if you have directly caused the breakup or the separation or the death of the person, now you cannot change it. So through it all again, you have to go through and accept the guilt as a part of your mainframe structure. And by that, you will develop something precious, something different. And then your world would be a different shade of gray and black from the other person. That's it, my friend. That's the fucking gist that Dostoevsky said. Through pain, one shall exist. I am broken, I'm existing. I am mended, I'm existing. I am hurt, I'm existing. I am cheated, I've been bestowed, betrayed, killed. Through it all, again, I exist. So that's what Dostoevsky is all about. Through pain, through suffering, through guilt, through death, through literal, literal wreckage of your personality, you shall exist, my friend.